Keith Irizarry. It is Moose and Keith.
Yeah.
Moose, best team in all of sports, the Tampa Bay Rays, the Boston Bruins? I don't know. I think it's a toss-up.
I'd probably take the Rays right now. I mean, I take the Bruins right now, but the Rays are unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Rays, and again, we got a lot of stuff to get into today. The Rays was interesting. We've had Steve Buchanan on the show from DraftKings, and I had spoken to him prior to the season. Him and I were just like Twitter chatting. And one of the things that we both noticed was that the Rays had the easiest opening to the season, right? There was a thing on DraftKings that I didn't see it on other apps, Moose, where you could do the kind of like what we do in like college basketball, NBA basketball, whatever, like the race to, and you put a number. There was a race to 10 wins. And Bukes had said one of his favorite bets this offseason was the Rays race to 10 to be the first team to get to 10 wins. And He nailed it already. Yeah.
He nailed it.
Yeah.
Analysis based on schedule and based on the fact that he liked Tampa a lot.
Exactly. He said that he, like we had talked about it. He's like, I like the Rays. I think they have good pitching. And just look at their schedule. They're playing nothing but bad teams to start off. So he nailed it. There you go.
It. That's great. Good play. Good bet. What did you get on that?
It was plus money. I don't remember what it was though, but I think it was like plus 150 or something. They were one of the favorites to get to 10 first.
Good morning to one of the OGs, Wally Montero. He's been here since the beginning.
Yeah, Wally.
Wally. Good morning. That's a great bet. That really is. That is a very good bet. How many? Was that the only team he played to race to 10?
No, he had two other on his ledger, and I could go back to Twitter and probably find our conversation.
You knew it offhand.
He had two more on his ledger.
That's a good one. I wonder what odds. When next time, I mean, maybe I can look it up and I'll try and find it. But I wonder what odds he got on Tampa.
Yeah. And then, I mean, I think on the flip side, you would look and say that Toronto would not have been on that list. You realize that Toronto's the last team in Major League Baseball to finally have a home opener tonight? They've been on the road the whole time. The Rogers Center, they revamped it, and they shortened the right field distance from 375 to, I think, 359.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so you've got a shorter porch, kind of. They lowered the wall on the right side. They raised the wall a little bit on the left side, and center field's still the same.
I mean, I'm curious to see what it looks like. I knew they were making some changes. I'm curious to see how it does play. I never looked at that as being this expansive ballpark where the balls don't fly out over the wall. They usually do.
Yeah.
That you needed to make that kind of an adjustment. Like, you understand why they added, the big wall down in Baltimore at Camden Yards, because it was like, it didn't take all that much to hit a ball out to left field. I never really thought there was any kind of issues up in Toronto, but I mean, they're a 6-4 team. That's a long time before they get their home opener, but the Jays fans excited about, what the potential could be. As we talked to a lot of baseball people, and Keith, and before the start of the season, that were kind of bullish on Toronto being that team in the American League East, but they've got work to do as they're sitting here, 10 games in, they're 4 games back, as Tampa is yet to lose a baseball game this year.
I've got all the official changes for you. So the changes to Rogers Center outfield dimensions and the wall heights. So the left field line, no changes in dimensions. They raise the wall 4 feet 4 inches.
Okay.
Right field line, no changes. Wall goes up 2 feet 7 inches. Left center dimensions are going from 375 to 368, so a little bit easier to hit a home run there. Right center 375 to 359. The power alley changes like 2 feet. Left field power alley right changes 11 feet. Straightaway center is the same, and they actually decrease the wall 2 feet in height.
So I'm sure they did exactly kind of what the Yankees did, which was a mistake when they built the new ballpark. Instead of it bowing out, I'm sure they went straight across.
That's what it seems like. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like on television tonight.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Yankee Stadium, I didn't love that aspect of it. They made it even a shorter porch in right field, but we'll see. And those dimensions are, much shorter than what we're talking about up in Toronto. But
yeah.
Play into the power of the Toronto Blue Jays and what they have in that lineup. Why not?
Oh,
Chicks take the long ball.
They do. I'm already looking at a couple of Blue Jays props for tonight. I got Vladdy minus 105 to get over 1.5 total bases. He's faced Matt Manning 3 times, 2 hits. One of those is a double. on an 8-game hitting streak, 2 or more bases and 5 consecutive. And then a sneaky one, which some wagerers, sharps or whatever will tell you that you don't want to pick a prop that means someone else has to do something, right? So like a run being scored by a player, you're saying that, you have to get on base and someone else probably has to drive you in. But I like Matt Chapman to get an RBI tonight. It's a plus 135. Homers in consecutive games, batting 475 on the season, and he's got 14 RBIs in the 10 games thus far. The only person with more RBIs this season is Yordan Alvarez, and I don't have faith in Matt Manning. So I think there's options there for Matt Chapman to get an RBI. Plus 135 is pretty good odds.
Tampa's plus 58 run differential. When do you think they lose their first game? Matchup tonight is Whitlock McClanahan, Eflin Sale tomorrow. And then they close out their series Thursday afternoon against Boston. Springs and Kluber.
Thursday. They lose Thursday. I think they're going to go 12-0 and then lose the 13th game. That's what I got.
I think they lose Friday in Toronto.
All right.
Rasmussen Barrios. Barrios.
Barrios has been brutal though. Rasmussen's been really. See, that's the thing about the Rays. They're a sneaky good pitching staff. Like McClanahan might win the Cy Young. Yesterday they go with Beeks and Fleming and like the opener situation, and it works.
No doubt. I mean, McClanahan's been very, very good. Yeah, the Rays were a team that no one really talked about the Rays before the start of the season. Here they are, 10-0. Tampa.
Yeah, they're not sexy, right?
No, Tampa's just Tampa. Wander Franco, we were talking about the home run totals yesterday being extremely low.
Yep.
Before the start of the year. He's already got, 4 or 5 home runs on the season, something like that. They're a very, very smart team. They play to their strengths. They understand how to, no doubt about it, find talent on other teams and be able to develop that talent on the major league level as well. Every guy seems to fit a role too. They never seem to beat themselves.
Yeah, the Rays have out-homered opponents 25-4 this season.
Amazing.
Yeah,
amazing. Plus 58 run differential. They've been great.
It's crazy. Yeah,
and the games are going lickety split. I mean, 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes. I mean, baseball now, it's blink of an eye, the game is over.
Well, you think about it. All right, so how about like tonight, right?
And I'm not complaining, but I mean, it's crazy when the Yankee game last night against Cleveland is done by like 9 o'clock.
But that's think about this, right? So tonight we have a 6:10 start for the Yankees and the Guardians.
Right.
I don't know what your plans are with your children tonight. Like maybe they have sports, maybe they don't. But let's say your kids didn't have sports tonight. You know that you could legitimately sit down and watch a full baseball game with your 3 sons tonight and have no worries. Like Gregory, you said goes to sleep around 8 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
So if this game went till 8:15, you're not going to let them stay up 15 minutes later to finish a game?
No,
of course
probably
you will. Especially with no school this week.
Yeah, for sure we will.
And that's a good thing. I know West Coast, it doesn't help the West Coast fan base because I don't know how many West Coast fan bases cares that much about a Yankees Guardians game anyway. But a Yankees game that starts at 6:10 means that in the Malusis household, if you guys wanted to, you could have dinner at 5:30, do an earlier dinner, sit down in your TV room, living room, whatever it is, and watch a 6:10 game, have a snack at 6:45, and everyone in your house could still be in bed by 8:30.
Amazing.
Think
about that. Amazing.
And then for someone like you, let's say you weren't working at Picks tonight, and I'm whatever. So like you could be done with that baseball game at 8:15. Get the boys all in bed, let's say by 9 o'clock. You and Donna could watch a TV show from 9 to 10. She falls asleep, and then you can watch the Lakers game if you wanted to.
That is true.
Like, think about how perfect that all fits. Now, if the Yankees game goes 4 hours, that changes everything for you.
Yeah, well, then you're not sitting there. You have the inability to watch the game. Yeah, the game. I mean, it's better. It's better for viewing. It's better for everything. It's better to, be able to procure younger fans to be able to watch Major League Baseball games. It's great all the way around. There's no question about it. It's a good thing. I mean, it's a good thing. And you laid it out perfectly, Keith, about the impact on families and be able to sit back and watch games and enjoying it.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, right? Like everyone is talking about what this means when you're at the game. I don't think it's only about being at the game. I think this is really also about like quality of life at home and being able to, because realistically, when we think about it,
yeah,
like how many people go to games all the time? Like there's not that many people that are taking a family of 4 or 5 to a game all the time. It's too expensive. Just, it's not realistic.
no, yeah, you can't. Not a family of 5. No, I mean, there might be some people that are living the single life, or dating someone. They might go to 2 people going to a game
They get a
significantly
season
differently.
ticket package or
Yeah, season ticket
something.
package, right? There, you might be going to game. Family of 5, no. I mean, who's affording that? Number one, the pay for parking. Number two, go in the building. Now, I know you can bring food with you, but that's also a pain in the rear end too. And
What's
half
the
the,
deal with that again? Can you, so you can bring food with you
I
now? Like
believe
what
you
is,
can. I mean, I think at Yankee Stadium, I'm not sure at all ballparks, but I believe at Yankee Stadium now you
because
can bring.
yeah, because I know like on MLB Network and MLB Central, they do things like the ham and eggers and stuff like that. It's the people who like sneak food into places. They have the one with the guy who had the hot dogs in his pocket, which became an ongoing joke for the last year and a half. But yeah, like so so you can bring food into the stadiums. That's cool.
Yeah, guests are permitted to bring food into Yankee Stadium for individual consumption. Items such as apples and oranges must be sliced or sectioned. Clear factory sealed plastic bottles of water, 1 liter in size or smaller, are also permitted.
Okay.
Yeah, so there you go.
All right. I'm gonna go to Yankee Stadium. I'm bringing food now.
Well, no, I mean, but
I'm kidding.
that comes along with, I mean, you're sitting there when the whole point of going to a game, especially if you're not going to a ton of games. I mean, that's more for somebody, I think, or families that are going to 10, 11, 12 games a year.
Yeah.
Like, am I really going to take my sons to a baseball game and be like, no, you have to eat your peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Part of the whole experience is, getting a hot dog or a pretzel or some popcorn or anything like that. Like, that's like the whole thing. We're not going to 7, 8, 9, 10 games, but I think it makes it a little bit more feasible if you're going to go to a lot of games during a baseball season. Now you can bring food with you. Like, I would do it. Like, honestly, like if I was single, didn't have kids, wasn't married, dating somebody, if I was going to Yankee Stadium and I had bought a season ticket package and was sitting, and I was going to 15 games a year, yeah, I think I probably would on occasion or sometimes bring food with me, make a sandwich, bring it with me, and it cuts down on the cost.
Well, and also I would imagine that like when you have a
Not
season
being
pass,
cheap or anything, it just does.
no, not even just that, but like think about it, if you have a season ticket package, you're sitting around the same people all the time, right? Like typically, like
Yeah.
yeah. So there might even be like, hey, Dave, Tuesday, Dave brings tacos. I don't know if he can bring tacos, but you know what I
I don't
mean?
think you
Like,
can bring tacos.
yeah, not bringing tacos. That was a little over the top, little excessive. My bad. I owe everyone a lap. But no, like if it's like Dave brings
What
the
seat are you
Doritos that
putting the
day.
guacamole on?
I mean, listen, that's why you got to go back to the old school cargo pants. All right, I'm breaking out old school cargo
Chips and
pants,
dip,
lots of
right.
pockets.
Keith, where's the salsa? Do you have the spicy salsa?
Here you go. It's kind of like the movie theaters, right? Like, I mean, everyone, I know you're not allowed, but everyone has done that at some point in their lives where they've brought their own candy or their own whatever to the movie theater.
Yeah, well, you go to CVS, you can get the same candy for like $1.75. You go to the theater, it's like $6.50.
Yeah.
It's
Uh-huh.
like,
The best part about like when you go with your wife to a movie is they have a purse. Just throw everything in the pocketbook.
I know, it's crazy. It's unbelievable. So yeah,
God.
baseball is in full force. So we got the NBA playoffs are going to get going here.
Yep, I'm excited about the NBA playoffs, and I guess we're not allowed to call tonight the playoffs, right? It's the play-in round they wanted to call,
right.
Especially even honestly, even from a gambling standpoint, it's important to note that I've mentioned it numerous times that I'm in on the Lakers to make the playoffs, and I got good odds on it. But technically, they're not in the playoffs yet. I did not win that bet yet. So the Lakers win tonight. They get the 7 seed. They're in the playoffs. I win my bet. If they lose tonight, they're going to have to play one more game to try to get in then as the 8th seed.
I think they're going to win tonight. I mean, they're a 7.5-point favorite against Minnesota. The Timberwolves sent Rudy Gobert home. He's suspended for tonight's game, after punching slow-mo the other day. But I don't think that I don't think I'd be stunned if Minnesota won that game tonight. I really would be.
Yeah, I don't really like. I was trying to find a way for them. I mean, I guess Karl Anthony Towns could go off, right? Like he has a 40-point game in which he's unstoppable. Anthony Edwards has a 35-point game where he's unstoppable. But the way LeBron played in the finale, the way Anthony Davis has played over the last 15 games of the regular season, albeit I know he's been sitting out a little bit. D'Angelo Russell looks healthy now. All the role players in the Lakers have really filled their roles. Like realistically, when you think about the LA Lakers, from the time that they made those trades around the deadline to now, they're one of the 2-3 best teams in basketball, statistically and wins and losses. It was just they dug themselves into a big hole early in the year.
Yeah, and I think like we mentioned yesterday, I think they're going to be dangerous. When you look at the game tonight, though, and their matchup against Minnesota, anything you like specifically in the game?
Yeah, so I was on FanDuel and searching through some of the options. And again, I'll always reiterate this to everybody where whatever books you have, let's say I have, an account BetMGM, I have an account DraftKings, I have an account FanDuel, Caesars, whatever it is. If you have multiple books, make sure you're shopping those books. We've talked about BetStamp a lot. That helps a little bit with your player props. For this, I was looking for like some of the specialty stuff. And just as simple as this, you could pick out who you think is going to be the top point scorer. So LeBron at plus 170, Anthony Edwards at plus 230, Anthony Davis at plus 330, Cat at 5-1 odds. I think Davis has the best value there at plus 330. But I think you could also maybe even take a stab at a guy like Cat, right? Because Karl Anthony Towns could lead the game in scoring, but it doesn't mean the Timberwolves win. It could be a balanced scoring attack for the Lakers. Karl Anthony Towns goes for 29 points, and the Lakers still win by, 6 or 7 points.
Yeah, you're right about that. Now, do you think there's a correlation between Cat being the leading scorer and the T-Wolves covering?
Yes. If I think if Cat and Anthony Edwards have good games, I think this is a tighter game than most people want to believe.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that. I think you could. I think one could. I don't think you could survive. Not survive. I don't think you could look for the Lakers to cover and Edwards and Cat have great games.
Yeah.
I would look at it that way. I mean, but yeah, Karl Anthony Towns at plus 500. And the odds would lead you to believe it as well. Like, I don't know if I necessarily love LeBron at plus 170 to be the top point scorer tonight. Kind of like Edwards at plus 230. If there's going to be a guy that kind of gets loose, Towns is going to be a guy that gets focused on. When you look at it from a Laker defensive standpoint, Edwards can create his own shot, can score in a variety of different ways. And now, listen, you're getting it for more than, less than half the price, right? He's plus 230. Karl Anthony Towns is plus 500. But I would think that if I were to venture or bet on a Minnesota T-Wolf tonight to be the leading scorer, I'd probably more go with Anthony Edwards than I would Karl Anthony Towns, even though the price on Cat is better at 5-1.
The last time these two teams played was March 31st. Anthony Edwards had one of his worst games of the year, actually. 4 for 16 shooting, 11 points in 38 minutes.
Yeah. I mean,
so,
right.
Doesn't mean that he can't bounce back. I'm just looking quickly.
No, for sure. I mean, I'm not telling you that it's. Yeah. I just would, if I'm not writing it in stone.
Oh no, you wrote it in stone. Everyone marked it down already.
Yeah, but I would say that would probably be the place that would go. I mean, I love the Lakers tonight, laying the 7.5.
Yeah,
the total in the game is 231.5. I'd probably slide or side or have a slight lean, I should say, if I could spit it out correctly, to the over in that game, Keith. But I think everything we've talked about this Laker team, number one, the movement and the change that they made right around the NBA trade deadline, dealing with the LeBron injury, able to keep their head above water, got helped out by some other teams, right? The collapse of the Dallas Mavericks and some other things that kind of played into that as well. LeBron, even after the loss to the Los Angeles Clippers, basically said it does not matter. They get in. They're going to have some would deem a kind of a favorable matchup where we talked about it yesterday, going up against the two Memphis, in that opening round, where I think there'll be a lot of love for the Los Angeles Lakers. They're home tonight. T-Wolves are a mess after, sending Rudy Gobert home. How exactly do you expect Minnesota to circle the wagons as quickly as this? They did the right thing. They have no other choice but to send Rudy Gobert home and suspend him for the game. I mean, they just did. That trade is going to go down as one of the worst trades in the history of the NBA. So they had no other choice. I mean, it's all on the table right now for LeBron and the Lakers, and for everything they've gone through this regular season, to now think that the Lakers are going to let this one tonight slip through their hands. They dealt with the Russell Westbrook fiasco. He's now a Los Angeles Clipper. All the things that we talked about, Keith. I just have a hard time thinking LeBron is going to get denied tonight. I'd probably favor the Lakers. I do like the Lakers laying the 7.5. I'd probably take the over in the game at 231.5 as well.
I'm afraid of the 7.5. I probably wouldn't lay it. I'm going to avoid it. I would go with some sort of player props. I might parlay something together. Remember, there's a lot of boosts whenever we get into, play in, play off type of situations. I'm with you. I think I lean over in this game for the point total. I think you're probably right. I think the Lakers probably win this game by 8, 9, 10 points, but I think I might be a little bit leery of it. How about the Hawks and the Heat? Heat are 5-point favorites. We've had guests come on, talk about how the Hawks just can't seemingly figure it all out. Who's the best player in this?
Trae Young.
Trae Young, you think Trae Young is a better player than Jimmy Butler?
I think he's more dynamic than Butler. I think Butler, listen, I like Jimmy Butler. How do you not like the story? We've talked about it before, worked his rear end off. Marquette wasn't a guy that was this ballyhooed college prospect coming out of school. Got Thibodeau is, a guy that helped him, and he helped himself by working his rear end off and developing into this player where he's very demanding of himself. And as we've seen across numerous stops, whether it be Chicago, Minnesota, Philadelphia, or now Miami, he's very demanding of other people as well. One of the great misses for the Philadelphia 76ers was deciding not to, not siding with Jimmy Butler when he was a member of the Philadelphia 76ers as he went down to Miami. He's an unbelievable player.
Yeah.
If you're asking me in a one-game scenario, who do I think can kind of explode and have one of those games where it's bonkers, I'd probably say it's more Trae Young than Jimmy Butler.
I'm having my issues with Trae Young this year. I'm having trust issues.
He gets coaches fired left and right. Yeah.
Yeah.
How could you not?
I think he's so supremely talented. Am I worried that I'm getting Kyrie vibes almost? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm getting Kyrie vibes a little bit. And I'm wondering if either Trae is misunderstood, mishandled, or this is the Trae that we are. He's a guy that's crazy, crazy talented, but I'm not sure what you get night in, night out.
Yeah, I don't know if I get I don't think he's as naturally gifted as Irving, with the handle and everything. And I could
right.
maybe I'm wrong on that.
No, you're right about that.
I don't know if he's as naturally as talented as Kyrie. I also, I don't live in the Atlanta area, neither, do you. I mean, but we see these stories on a national landscape. I don't know what it's like day in and day out being a teammate of Trae Young down with the Atlanta Hawks. I haven't done kind of homework on that. But yeah, I mean, something's amiss. I mean, they just is. I mean, they've had, under his tutelage, he's now on his third head coach. The Atlanta Hawks are not getting better. They're getting worse. They've regressed here. You think about, every single year, John Collins is on the trade block. Every single year, John Collins remains an Atlanta Hawk. They're not getting better. You would have thought at this stage, coming off of, a couple years ago, after they beat the Knicks at Madison Square Garden, Trae Young, and they went on that run to the Eastern Conference Finals, you would have thought that was the start of the rise of the Atlanta Hawks. It's been nothing of the sort. Yeah. I mean, they've regressed. They've treaded water. They've done all these different things, and it's been more of a mess than anything else. I think they got a really good head coach now, not taking anything away from Nate McMillan. I think, McMillan is, a really good coach as well, but, he felt it was time. The Hawks felt it was time, and they moved on. Quinn Snyder now steps in down in Atlanta. He was really good. As we saw, out in Utah with the Jazz, when you look at Quinn Snyder, good college coach in Missouri, was an assistant for Krzyzewski down at Duke after his playing career with the Duke Blue Devils. So I think they've got a good head coach in place. I understand the trepidation when you look at Trae Young, because it should look a lot better. Atlanta should be a lot closer than what they are, because even if they win tonight and beat Miami, are they really a threat to either of the, to the Boston Celtics? No, I do not.
Are you taking Atlanta +5?
I kind of like Atlanta tonight +5.
Well, are you taking Atlanta money line?
I am not. I'll take them +5.
Look at you. All right.
I am. I am
I think
taking.
I think
I
I
like
would take
the
Miami.
Lakers laying it. I like Atlanta. I'm not a huge Miami. I don't know. I'm not a big. It has nothing to do with Riley leaving the Knicks and the way that he did. I love Butler. You know, you opened up the conversation talking about this series about who's more dynamic or who do you think a better overall
Yeah,
player.
who's the best player in the
Yeah, and listen, I think if you're gonna, maybe I'm not giving Butler his due diligence, and maybe because he's a great all around player, probably it's Jimmy Butler. I think Trae Young has the opportunity to kind of seize the moment and have one of those games. I think Atlanta is going to surprise some people tonight. I'll take Atlanta. I think it's going to be a closer game, one possession game late decides it. I'll take Atlanta, plus the 5 against Miami. I'm getting a sense you like the Heat laying it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take the Heat in the 5 points.
Yeah.
I'm having trust issues with Atlanta. Hey, and maybe maybe they'll lure me back in. Maybe they will. Speaking of trust issues, I want to play a little sound here for you. So Draymond Green, he's got his podcast and he's, never shy about his words here. So the fallout of this Rudy Gobert situation, Gobert being sent home, of course, Draymond Green needed to weigh in. Roll it.
Security is always loud. Let's get into that. As far as the tap on the chest goes, quite frankly, there are just some words as men you just don't say to men. So when I saw the choice words, that is the bitch word, Kyle Anderson using towards Rudy Gobert, you do have to be ready with what comes with that. Like, you're just not allowed to just disrespect guys and say what you want to say. Kyle Anderson uttered some words to Rudy Gobert that a lot of people thinks. He said it. He said what a lot of people thinks. I personally think Rudy Gobert is a little on the softer side myself. He gained a little respect from me because he stood up for himself. I've never really seen the guy stand up for himself. Didn't really know if the guy was capable of standing up for himself. He stood up for himself a bit. Unfortunately, doesn't really work. Take it from me. I know how that goes. Is it the wrong decision? Morally, that's for you to decide. It depends on what your morals are. But in a team setting, you're playing with a team, it's the wrong decision.
There you have it.
There we go. All right. So first, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. The B word, and I'm not going to say it, but we know what he was saying.
Yeah, Draymond just said
it. So is that really is a word that if a man calls another man that's worth fighting over? That's a trigger word? Am I wrong? That
I
never
didn't know.
felt like such a trigger word.
No, but I'm also not an NBA player, so I mean, I don't know. I'm good. I guess I'll lean on Draymond. I'd lean on Draymond and his expertise in that. I didn't know that was kind of a throwdown. And
so it is. Wally's saying that it is a trigger.
Yeah,
okay.
So I'll lean.
I could think of other words that would make me want to fight people.
Sure. I think clearly they don't like one another. I mean, this is not more than just like one word.
No, I know.
Or one. This is something that was probably building for months. Like that's what it is. Like this all of a sudden doesn't just happen. If you are best of friends, if you have a really good rapport, if you've got great team chemistry, there's a lot that could be said between teammates that wouldn't trigger what happened there. Like what that was all of us seeing what has been probably a very, very flawed culture with the Minnesota Timberwolves for quite some time that all of a sudden reared its ugly head at the most inopportune time. That's the way kind of, Keith, that I look at it, is that I don't think this is just like one thing. Like I think probably Kyle Anderson and Rudy Gobert can't stand one another. I think it's a case that they probably have had issues in practice. Maybe, Kyle Anderson, who's looked at Gobert and thinks maybe he is soft. I mean, Draymond Green basically told you the rest of the league thinks Rudy Gobert is soft.
Well, apparently people don't like Rudy.
Yeah.
Like in general, he's apparently very unlikable.
Well, yeah, and I don't know that. I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't know that was a trigger, but I think I just don't. No matter what, I wouldn't say no matter what, because I think there's some things that cross the boundaries. I don't know if that's enough for you to go punch a teammate.
Yeah,
I really don't.
So like I'm looking at our chat and great stuff from the people in our chat. The word pal makes you want to fight people. Someone wrote in here.
Pal. I hate
buddy. Pal. Yeah. Like
when
I guess
people say pal on text, I hate pal. Pal is such...
I'm not a pal guy either. Jacob Assa writes, "Don't talk about my mama." Someone calls me that in a hard way, very hard not to react. Yeah,
I think it just depends on the relationship.
Yeah, I also realize as we're all getting older, like, I don't know, fighting's not a thing. Like you can't really fight and then like just be like, everything's okay. No, you spend the night in jail.
Yeah, for sure. But I also think it's very relational. I do. I think if you have a strong relationship, friendship with somebody, and there's a strong bond in a team, people can be brutally honest and even maybe be a little bit profane, and it's not going to go to that. Yeah. That's my point. Like I've heard stories, off the record about, players communicating and kind of being brutally honest with players. And you'd think, wow, this and that. But they're like, no, you don't understand. Like, that's just the way kind of it was, because we're such a tight knit group. We could be kind of open and honest with one another. And maybe sometimes it was, it was a little bit more profane, the way that we got our emotions across or what we needed from said individual. So that I think you can't punch anybody. You just can't. And I think it's a case of, Anderson and Gobert just can't stand one another. And honestly, like you mentioned, I don't think there's a lot of people in the league that like Rudy Gobert.
Yeah. Jacob Bassett wrote, I agree. My last fight was 20 or 30 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while. Yeah. Kyle L. Frank's going to join us next.
Yes.
I don't know if he hears us right. I don't know if he's watching the show or whatnot, but my first question to him is going to be like, what's the trigger word for him that would make him fight somebody?
We'll do that next. It's Bruce and Keith with you on a Tuesday right here at Better Sports Network.
Better Sports Network. Collectible moments.
Everybody up here at U.S. Cellular. Sox 5 runs, 6 hits. The 2-1 to Bartlett. Swing shot to short. Ramirez has it, throws. Bartlett picks the perfect game. His second no-hitter. People going crazy here at U.S. Cellular. He's mobbed by his teammates. A perfecto.
Now there's a steal by Bird. Underneath the DJ, lays it in. Right out, 1 second left. What a play by Bird. Bird stole the impounding pass. Laid it up to DJ. DJ laid it up and in. And Boston has a 1-point lead with 1 second left.
Out of the I formation on first down. Peterson to carry, looking for running room on the right side, has it to the 25, across the 30, across the 35, and out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Adrian Peterson has just gone over 2,000 yards for the season, the 7th man in NFL history to cross the 2,000-yard mark.
Well, a thundering ovation for number 66, Mario Lemieux.
Just the emotion I'm sure Mario is feeling in this place. You don't appreciate something until it's gone, and it's so great to have Mario back.
Yager turns around. Over to Lemieux. Mario Lemieux, his first goal in his comeback here tonight at the Mellon Arena. And the Penguins lead 3-0, and he is smiling like a butcher's dog. Mario Lemieux.
Oh, the band is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone. The Bears have scored, but the Bands are out on the field.
Pearson moves in front of the STP Dodge. Petty comes back to the inside. They almost touch as they move down low in the banking. They're going to be side by side as they exit the bank and head for the finish line.
Richard Petty goes back in front. They both spin. They're in the wall. Petty is slamming into the wall. He's coming down toward the finish line. Will he make it? Pearson is still running. The winner is car number 21. An amazing finish. Richard Petty's car demolished in the front end, as well as car number 21. An unbelievable finish, a terrible crash. David Pearson has won the Daytona 500.
Leitner catches, comes down, dribbles, shoots, scores! Christian Leitner has hit the bucket at the buzzer!
Pitched by Downing, swinging. There's a drive into left center field. That ball is going to be out of here. It's gone. It's 7-15. There's a new home run champion of all time, and it's Henry Aaron.
The most valuable player is Magic Johnson.
42 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists. He starts at center, plays forward and guard, and leads the Los Angeles Lakers to a world championship 123-107 over Philadelphia.
Whether you collect sports memorabilia, fantasy championships, or winning bet slips, talk about it on Better Sports Network.
You can call that mental freeze when these people talk too much. Put that shit in slow motion. Yeah, I feel like an astronaut in the ocean. Ay, what you know about rolling down in the deep when your brain goes numb.
We are back. Keith Erzari, Mark Malusis with you. Kyle Elfrink joins us now and talk a little baseball with Kyle. Good morning, Kyle. How are you?
I am doing well, gentlemen. Good to see you both. Great to be talking on a Tuesday. I'm doing well. It's warm. It's sunny. It feels like spring. So I'm a happy little guy today.
No doubt about it.
I want to make you angry. Now, Kyle, you and I have done radio before. We've never done video together before. So the first time we're getting a chance to actually work together, like, face to face. What, you don't actually have to say the word. You can just do letters if you want. What's a trigger word? Like, what could I say to you that would make you want to fight me?
You know, you guys had asked that right before the time out there, and I had heard that, and I thought to myself, what is going to make an absolute dove like myself?
Yeah, you're a sweetheart of a man.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Keith. You know that. You picked up on that. Good to hear. And I said, what would really piss me off to where I threw a punch? Because the last fight I got in, I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and it was with a neighborhood kid. And I still remember Chris Campbell.
Chris was such a jerk.
Chris Campbell, what a jerk. And I haven't thrown a punch. I am like the peace. I'm the UN usually in these issues. I don't know if there's a word. I'll give you a phrase, because the best I could come up with is if somebody said, "You better eat your beets." I said, "No, I'm not going to eat my beets. If you made me eat beets, we might come to fisticuffs." So I don't have a word. I got a phrase that would set me off.
So I think, Moose, what we've learned is we want Kyle as a friend to hang out with. We don't want him if it's going down and we need to get in a fight.
No. Well, look at me. Look at this. I'm weak. I'm small.
No,
I don't intimidate anybody.
All right, Kyle, what's been your early impressions here when you look at baseball?
It's been fun. I think I would reiterate what everybody has said. It feels new, fresh, and exciting. The only problem I've got with the rule changes is I'm kind of a sucker for late night West Coast baseball. I love that. Get the child down. My wife usually goes to bed early, and usually, 9:30, 10 o'clock Central, I can settle in and watch some Angels, some A's, some Mariners, Giants, whatever it may be. The games are moving so quickly. I can't get my fix late at night. Like I sit down and I should be in the second inning, and I look at the ticker and it's like the 6th inning. And so I'm kind of struggling to get my baseball fix, but that's just me. I think overall it's been a hit with what I've seen. Strikeouts are still too high, but you know what? They haven't been something for me to complain about because the ball is more in play and the action is moving. We are seeing more singles. We are seeing the skill of base running return to baseball. It's not perfect. Hell, I grew up in the early 80s. I'm in St. Louis. To me, baseball is Whitey Herzog and like 5 dudes stealing 50 bases on the same team. So we're never going to get back to those glory days that everybody kind of envisions, but this is a lot better than the previous 10 years, which I'm a baseball wacko. And I got to tell you guys, the last 10 years, a little bit of my love affair has diminished because of how the game was trending.
So then it's good. I mean, baseball rekindled its love affair with you. Are there any stats that are jumping out to you that, I'll word it this way, that kind of get you excited about the sport of baseball again?
I saw some stolen base numbers today. I think Cleveland is on pace for like 290 steals.
Yeah, they run a lot. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Something crazy. Now that's still, that's epic. There was a report I saw Ken Rosenthal today over at The Athletic talking about the Yankees. The Yankees, who have never been a franchise that really runs. Yeah. I mean, you guys know this. They sit there and they pay for guys who hit home runs. That's what they want. Yep. Knock it over the wall. Play to your ballpark. I don't blame them. They're even running. So we're seeing even teams that traditionally are not built to run. And I know they brought in Volpe and some other young guys who can move around the base pass a little more. But I think we're seeing teams say, wow, this is kind of a new advantage we have. The stolen base rates over 80%. Last night, this is kind of silly, but again, West Coast baseball. I'm sitting there, and I brought this up on the 5-pack yesterday. Arizona going against Milwaukee. I think Arizona is 17 for 18 in stolen base attempts. They're like tops in baseball. They were up against Wade Miley. Now, who the hell? Wade Miley, who cares? Wade Miley, just a guy. He's a jobber. Yep. That's what he is. 13 years in baseball, Wade Miley has only had 34 stolen bases against him. So say what you will about Wade Miley, but as a lefty, he can hold you close to first, hold you close to second. So I'm sitting there last night. It's like, wow, we got this Arizona team who really loves to run. They're embracing this newfangled game. We've got Wade Miley, who nobody runs against. What's going to happen? I haven't thought about that matchup. Unless Noah Syndergaard was on the hill or John Lester was on the hill, I haven't thought about pitchers holding runners on in forever. And last night, I'm following that. And I will tell you, Wade Miley won last night. No stolen bases against Wade Miley. Arizona won the game, but no stolen bases against Wade Miley last night.
All right, through the first 10 games, Kyle, who's gotten off to a really good start? Pitchers, hitters, kind of dealer's choice. Who are you buying, and who do where do you think it's sustainable, and where do you think, well, no, I'm not really buying that start. I think there's going to be a fade there. Who do you like, and who don't you like?
I like Brandon Lau, who had the big hit last night. And I'll say this with Lau. He's had one bad season, and it was last year because he only played 60 games, had a stress fracture in his back. Other than that, I was looking at this morning. His first year, he finished third in Rookie of the Year voting. His second year, he finished eighth in MVP voting. Third year, he finished 10th in MVP voting. Last year, he had the injury. Now he's kind of looking like an MVP. Again, if he stays on the field, Brandon Lau is what allows the Tampa Bay Rays. And I know he doesn't get near the national attention, and I don't think people are pitching around Brandon Lau like he's Aaron Judge, but that gives them a producer in the middle of the lineup. Because I think we all still look at Tampa and we say, well, yeah, this is a cute story, and it's kind of fun that they can win a lot of baseball games with the support of 6,000 fans. Like, that's kind of cool, whatever. It's like a movie waiting to happen. But they're pretty legitimate. And if Rosarena's legit, power, speed. Wander Franco looking good to start. I don't know if he's a superstar, but he's a good player. They've got 3-4 pieces in the lineup. Pitching wise, they've got 4 or 5 starters they can turn to. They're very different than in years past. They're not really using the opener. They use it maybe once every 5 days. Used to be they're using it every single day. Now they actually have starting pitchers. So again, hey, 10-0, are they the best team in the AL East? Probably not. But I was looking at percentages to make the playoffs. They're over 90% now. They've leaped, according to Fangraphs Baseball Reference. So Tampa's probably going to be in the postseason. This is without Tyler Glasnow, by the way, too, their ace pitcher. So that's going to make it tough on Toronto and New York to kind of get there. I'll tell you another thing. This is kind of on the negative side where I think it's actually legitimate. And this ruffle feathers, I think. Philadelphia and Houston. I don't know if I don't think Philadelphia makes the postseason. And
they started 0-6, but they're playing good now.
Philadelphia, the issue is going to be, I don't think Harper's here till mid-June.
Right.
We got 2 more months to go to get to mid-June. Rhys Hoskins, done. You look at Castellanos, the early returns are nothing's really different. He was kind of the guy, let's get the rebound effort here. Their critical component is Alec Boehm. He's going to take that next step to be a run producer, to driving guys. Last night he had 6 ribbies. They beat up on Sandy Alcantara. That was great. Best game of the year for the Philadelphia Phillies. But they also had to shift the lineup like Bryson Stott. I mean, give me a break. He's not a leadoff hitter.
Yeah.
I looked at the BABIP today for Bryson Stott. The guy's like 520 on BABIP. And people were like, oh, Bryson Stott has figured it out. No, he's the same dude. He's just having a good week and a half. Trey Turner, great player. And I think Trey Turner will be an all-star. Could be an MVP candidate. Their bullpen sucks. It has for years. They still don't have a bullpen. Sir Anthony Dominguez, Craig Kimbrell, Gregory Soto, it's a failure. The only guy who's pitching well right now is Jose Alvarado. So maybe he becomes the 9th inning guy. You got to ride Nolan Wheeler, and after them, you don't have much pitching depth. You just don't. I mean, Ranger Suarez, I don't expect anything from him this year. He's dealing with a forearm injury. I look at Philadelphia, and the story was great last season. I think they're like an 82-win team.
Yeah.
fine, but it's middle of the pack. I don't think they make the postseason. Houston's case is really interesting because the Astros are I would say peak American League franchise. Sorry, Yankee fans, but the Astros the last 5 years, and I get the cheating and all that, but they've been doing it and doing it and doing it. Now they're having to play without Jose Altuve, Michael Brantley. Those two veterans are hurt. Yordan Alvarez looks great, but Yordan Alvarez is battling the same injury they had all last season. The hand hasn't gotten any better. Now it's epic that he's still Yordan Alvarez. He's still like an MVP guy. I like him a lot. Alex Bregman's not hitting. Alex Bregman has continued a pretty significant drop off in the last
he's fallen off.
He's not the all-star third baseman that they were banking on. Jeremy Pena, I know last October was great, but to me, he's kind of just a guy at shortstop.
And they already moved him in the lineup too.
And they're not a bad team. I don't want anybody to think, oh, man, Houston Astros is going to win 70 games. They're not. But I don't think they're winning 105. I don't think they're winning 100. I don't think they're winning 95 this season. I think they're much closer to 90, which may get them into the postseason. They are relying a lot on young pitching. We saw Hunter Brown the other day look great. Lance McCullers, I know they keep telling us, I think for the last 3 years, he's coming back. He never does. Or when he comes back, he only gets injured. So I would look at those two teams who are off to so-so starts and say there's a little more meat on that bone than some might expect. People say, oh, the Phillies, they made that run last season. Don't know if that's happening this year. I would predict it's not. And then with Houston, they say, well, it's Houston. They're going to win 100 games. They may make the postseason. The West is better. The teams are better. But I don't think they're winning the AL West this year.
I want to ask you about the NL West. When you look at where Arizona's now 7-4, Dodgers got off to an okay start. Now they've come back a little bit. The Padres, they just got blanked by the Mets last night. What do you make of the NL West?
It's the Padres. And remember who blanked them. Max Scherzer. I'll let it slide,
Yeah, no, I get it. But Scherzer, first couple of starts this year, Kyle, didn't look particularly good. Velocity was down. Location was off. He looked forlorn after a start.
Looked a lot more like Scherzer again, though, last night.
Mm-hmm. We're 9 days away from Fernando Tatis returning?
Yep.
Yes.
That's a pretty big move. I know Tatis is not the easiest guy to root for. He just isn't. But you cannot deny the talent that he brings to the table and when he's out there, what he can do. I look at the weekend of what San Diego did in Atlanta. I don't know how much you guys got to watch that, but they took 3 of 4. Sunday night, they got 0 RBIs from Bogarts, Machado, Soto, Cronenworth, and they still put up 10 runs on the Braves. And they won with ease.
Right.
Thursday night, the first game of that series, I made this comment. That Thursday night game, for anybody who caught it, it was like a playoff atmosphere in April. And it was the home opener for the Braves, and they won in walk-off fashion. But it was a really exciting, enjoyable game. San Diego could have gone into Atlanta and taken all 4 of those games. They were that close. They still don't have Joe Musgrove. Now, for those who missed it, Musgrove, I guess, fell while fielding a ball in his rehab assignment and landed on his shoulder, which you might think, okay, it's a bruise, nothing to worry about. He'll be back soon. They gave him a cortisone shot.
Yeah.
Which I don't recall many times when somebody falls on their shoulder getting a cortisone shot. That's more of an overused, overworked, like the muscle needs to be tamed. There's inflammation. So we'll see with Musgrove. That situation's kind of getting fishy. I still think the Padres are the class. And the Dodgers are very good, but that lineup is thin. It is so top heavy. It's the first 4 dudes, and then I think it falls off. So they'll be solid. And if LA can do anything, it's always they know how to make trades. They know how to sell off their prospects, to bring in studs. I've heard it mentioned, hey, Corbin Burns, if that falls off with Milwaukee, he lands with the Dodgers. They have the prospects to do that. So anytime you kind of make a bet against the Dodgers, it's not a good bet. Because what I'm saying on April 11th, their team's going to be different come August 11th. They're going to make the moves if they need to make the moves. So I still like the Padres. Dodgers will be there, absolutely. I think the Diamondbacks are a year away. They need more pitching. They also need some answers in their bullpen. And San Francisco, they got caught in a bad spot where they tried to make the moves to make a difference and to catch up to San Diego and LA. And they came up short. And they're kind of in a spot now where they're not going to get Ohtani. I think that's their next target. So they're going to go 2 free agency periods, missing on Stanton, missing on Correa, and missing on Ohtani. And they're going to keep getting guys like Michael Conforto and Mitch Haniger, which, if everything breaks right, you can make the postseason, but it's not the way you want to do it in a big market with a lot of money like San Francisco has.
Our own Cody Decker has talked a lot about Ohtani getting traded at the deadline, and he's alluded to he thinks the Dodgers are the team that will land Ohtani. Multiple layer question, which is bad journalism. We're going to ask it anyway. Do you believe Ohtani gets dealt at the trade line? If so, who would be your front runner?
If it weren't the Angels making the decision, I would say yes, he's going to be traded at the deadline. They're not good at this.
Yeah.
LA just doesn't know how to handle a roster. They're probably going to convince themselves that they can keep Ohtani. They haven't had any discussions as far as we know. Like, seriously, this otherworldly player getting ready for free agency, and the reporting we've seen says if any discussions have gone on, they're very minimal. Like, you should be deeper into the game if you're thinking of re-signing this guy. I think I would agree with Cody. It's the Dodgers. Because the difficulty with trading for Ohtani is the Angels are not going to treat him as a soon-to-be free agent. The Angels are going to treat him as this is the best player in baseball. Give us what the Padres gave up for Juan Soto. Give us everything you got, in effect. I don't think a lot of teams are going to be willing to answer that price tag because they're going to sense this as 3 months, and then we're going to get in a bidding war with like a half dozen teams. I think the Dodgers are in a good spot, though, because of the prospects we talked about and the aspect. And I think none of us know Shohei Ohtani. We don't know exactly what's going on in his head. But to me,
I mean, speak for yourself. Moose and Shohei are boys.
Yeah. To me, well, maybe Moose can correct me if I'm missing.
That's just not true.
Can you imagine? No, hold on. I'm going to interrupt you. Can you imagine if Moose was like, actually, hold on 1 second. Hey, man, so Kyle wants to know. No.
Without a translator, right, Moose?
Yes.
You're
bilingual. Without a translator.
Yeah.
Well, I speak
without a
fluent
translator.
Japanese.
Yeah.
Moose and him are like this. I think the LA thing makes sense because the Dodgers will say he wants to stay on the West Coast, right? We kind of think that. We believe that, whether it's true or not. And wow, he doesn't even really have to move. He can stay right here in LA. And I'll tell you this, guys, nobody's outbidding LA. Even if it goes 500, 600 million, I think they will go that price, this silly, crazy price tag to keep Shohei Ohtani. So that's why I think the Dodgers are more willing to play that game than anybody else because they will actually think we'll bring him in and we can keep him. We just got to show him what he's missing in LA. Get you out of Anaheim. Let's move you up the freeway to Dodger Stadium and show you what it's like to play in front of baseball fans. Apologies to the 15th. I think Angels had 19,000 at the stadium last night. So apologize to all those fans. But the Dodgers can show Ohtani what it's like to be in a real big market with a real big league team.
Kyle, is there anybody that didn't break camp with their team that eventually you think gets called up this year across Major League Baseball that you think has a big impact?
Boy, they're already getting called up. Grayson Rodriguez, Francisco Alvarez, Diego Cartaya with the LA Dodgers could. Now, you're going to need an injury with Will Smith for that to kind of happen. The prospect rankings, if you will, is not extremely strong right now. Now, and you say make an impact. I think late in the summer, Cincinnati, who again, by the time we get to July, the Reds will be forgotten. Nobody will be talking about them. But they're going
Which
to be
is a shame because it's a great baseball town.
I took the family there last summer. Cincinnati is a blast. It's a great river town. A lot of things to do, but going to the ballpark for whatever reason is not one of them. Reds weren't in town when I was there, and I've been to their ballpark, and people forget it's the oldest franchise in the National League. I mean, Cincinnati, you didn't have opening day until Cincinnati said you had opening day. They were always granted the first pitch of the baseball season. Now, that is a tradition that is gone. No longer do we wait on the Reds and their opening day parade and the first pitch. But Cincinnati has a terrible owner. They are a true small market, but they are on the come with their prospects. Ellie De La Cruz is a shortstop who's probably one of the top 5 prospects in baseball. I think he's going to come up late in the summer. Now, when you say impact, it's not going to affect the bottom line for the Reds. But for a fantasy player or anybody looking to stash guys, I think the Reds have probably 3 or 4 guys. And we're seeing some of them right now. They're not off to great starts, but we've seen Spencer Steer over at third base. Will Benson made the team out of camp. They've, of course, got Lodolo, Hunter Green. They're like an improving team, but it's still 2-3 years away. Boy, I'm thinking like Arizona, but their guys are so young. They've got Drew Jones out in center field, who they just drafted last year. They've got Lawler, the shortstop, but I think both those guys stay down all season. Jackson Chourio with Milwaukee. He's a great outfielder. Some people have him as a top prospect in baseball, but he's 20 years old. And Milwaukee's already got a couple of guys. Garrett Mitchell is one of them that has come up and performed pretty well. Bryce Turing.
Mr. RBI, Garrett Mitchell.
Yeah.
Boom.
It's weird that we're kind of in a spot, and there will be guys called up, of course, but we're kind of in a spot where there's a lag, I guess, where we've gotten a lot of the upper end prospects to arrive already. And now the next wave, they're kind of sitting in the early days of AA.
Well, like one of those guys, yeah, like Jordan Walker, right? So Jordan Walker is absolutely crushing it, starting his career off 10 consecutive games with a hit. So him and the Cardinals, so he's been great. The Cardinals are 3-7. Is there anything to worry about in St. Louis?
There is. Look at their pitching staff, guys.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of number 4 starters. That's what it is. And is that good enough to win the NL Central? Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, look at the competition. I know Milwaukee's playing well, but we saw last year Milwaukee was like in the race. And what they do, they traded Josh Hader. They may be in the race come July, and they're trading Corbin Burns.
Yeah.
Willie Adames, who's set to be a free agent soon. So I keep looking at Milwaukee, and I get it. I understand from the business side what Milwaukee is doing. And they actually run a pretty successful franchise for what they're dealing with. I think they're like the 30th biggest market in baseball. People don't realize how small that market is, but they compete. And part of it is, okay, we got to turn guys over and turn them into prospects. St. Louis doesn't have that. St. Louis right now is built to win the NL Central every single year. And look at it. For the last 20 years, they mostly have. The Pirates have come and then disappeared. The Cubs have gone and then disappeared. The Brewers have just kind of hung on to their coat sleeves, if you will. St. Louis, though, is there. They don't have pitching, though, to win the postseason. They just don't. They have hitting. It's great to have Goldschmidt. It's great to have Arenado. Contreras hasn't done He's done nothing. Absolutely. Thus far, Wilson Contreras batting 5th behind Goldschmidt and Arenado.
Awful.
2 RBIs.
Yeah, it's been terrible.
Those guys are having good seasons. Contreras is doing nothing. That's a huge hole. And you talk about Walker, who right now has been firmly planted to like 7th or 8th in the lineup. Eventually, they're going to start moving him up. They got to start moving him up. So he may make that move in the next week or so. And if Contreras is still struggling, maybe Walker slides in at that 5 hole. But I still look at the pitching guys. Nobody fears Miles Michaelis. Nobody fears Steven Matz. Nobody fears Jordan Montgomery. Nobody fears
Jack
I hate saying this because he's given great years. Adam Wainwright, he's a junk baller. Okay, that's what he is. He can shut you out if he's on, but when he's off, it's ugly. And that's the real hang up right now with that team.
Kyle, last question for me, and you're fantastic, is this fantasy-wise. If you got a team not trending in the right direction, it's early, but you have massive concerns. You have Wilson Contreras on your team. You've got different things you like, and how patient are you in fantasy baseball?
You're talking to the right person here. In my home league, I'm dead last. Dead last.
That's the worst. The worst being doing that in your home league.
Yeah, dead last, and it is embarrassing. I'm the guy who talks fantasy sports all day, and I keep telling myself, like you just said, Moose, it's early. It's early. What are we, 10, 11 days into the season? Like, I look at my team, and I still like my players. If you still look at your team and you say, God, I feel good about these players, give them a shot. Give them April, is what I always say. If you're having a ton of injuries and that's why you're sliding, be realistic about the injuries that you have. A lot of times these teams lie, I'll be back in a week or 2 weeks. I wouldn't buy that. If you've got to make moves, make them now because of injuries. Don't hold on to like waiver positioning. I hate when people, I got the number 1 waiver priority. Should I hold? Dude, spend it now. If you need it, spend it now. Pay attention to bullpens. This is the point in the season where you can steal guys. I mentioned Alvarado with Philadelphia. He doesn't have a save. He's pitching in the 6th or 7th inning, but he's absolutely the only guy worth a damn right now for the Phillies in that bullpen. Pick him up. Give him a shot. See if something happens there. So in terms of getting nervous and making trades and, I'm burning off guys who I thought would be, top 10 second baseman, top 30 outfielders. You got to give those guys a longer stretch, but be realistic about your injuries. Be realistic about your bullpen. Try to pick up some guys on the cheap right now in the pen. Pay attention. hey, it's 2023. I get it. People don't look at box scores. But if you're looking for bullpen help, look at the box scores and see where guys are being used and see if they're putting up zeros. It's a big advantage right now.
Kyle, Moose is working on his fitness right now. He's working on his 6-pack, but you have a 5-pack that you're doing for the network. Tell us a little about the 5-pack.
Yeah, it's the only pack I'll ever have. I kind of been working on getting a 2-pack at some point, but I've got just a big pack. Yeah, the 5-pack coming up here in just about an hour, and we'll do it every day, Monday through Friday at noon Eastern. And it's pretty simple. It's 1 hour. It's 5 things that mattered from the night before, 5 things that will matter for the night upcoming, and then where the pack comes in. So we'll have a little fun with some classic baseball packs.
Nice.
I think we're opening up this one today. This is an 88 Donruss, which is a pitiful looking card set.
So
It's
Gary
really
Sheffield? That's what we're looking, right? Gary Sheffield
more
rookie card, right?
89.
Oh, he's 89. You're right.
Yeah, yesterday we did an 89 top set, which I have it right here. This is another ugly looking card. I mean, these are the cards.
Oh, yeah.
They're pretty ugly.
Yeah, those
I mean,
are
ingenuity was not a part of the world back in 1989, but that was the Sheffield thing. I did get yesterday a Sandy Alomar Jr. futures card.
Okay.
Look at that. Tops called it there.
Was that the Wally Backman 88? Was that the Wally Backman card was the big deal that year?
88, there's not much. You would have had.
Wally would have already been gone. Yeah, Wally
I'm
was
trying
playing
to think
already.
Rookies in 80, like the 87 rookies were like Benito Santiago, I guess McGuire, but he had already had like the 85 tops with the Olympic card that everybody talks about. Canseco was 86 Donruss. I got to say, this 88 Donruss, because this is kind of my prime time from about 86 to 94. It's kind of my prime time for collecting cards. And we'll do a different pack every day. But more so than anything, this is just an ugly set.
Gotcha.
Like, if you guys watch, it's like all blue with like 4 miniature red bars.
It's not a pretty set.
It's an ugly set. And the cool thing about this is it is an actual wax pack. It's amazing. Wax still holds together after 35 years.
The gum doesn't, though.
Yeah, the gum. Well, I had the gum. I did not taste the gum. I have tasted the gum. my stick of gum yesterday in this Topps pack was actually 6 splinters of gum.
Oh,
I'm sure it was.
Which, hey, 35 years. I don't expect.
I don't expect the gum to hold on.
I'm not gonna. But the problem is, I think it was like that back in like 1991. After 2 years,
might have been. Yeah.
I love it. Kyle, you're great. We appreciate it. Continued success. We'll get you on again real soon. Talk a little baseball.
Absolutely. Great to hear from you guys. Always enjoy listening. And like I said, we'll get going in about an hour. You will be a perfect lead-in to everything we do each and every day. Thanks, guys.
Hey, don't forget, go eat your beats.
Go eat my beats. That's all, Keith. Come on.
That's it.
Through this screen. I'm a big talker through this screen. I really suck. The Astros suck. It's easy for me to say behind this camera.
Yeah, nailed it.
Maybe those would be the fighting words when I go into a Houston bar and tell them the Astros suck, and they can tell me to sit on a nail. Then we'll fight, I guess.
There's a love a little golden beat. Kyle, be well, brother. Good luck.
You have a good one. Take it easy.
Do you think you love a golden beat? What's a golden beat?
Like it's a golden beat, like a beat. Salad.
Yeah, I don't eat beets.
They have a little, like a little golden beet, like roasted, and then they put a little, what's the cheese? My wife loves it. Not gorgonzola. There's another type of cheese that they put with it. It's delicious.
Brie.
A little balsamic, not brie. No, we're not a big brie family. We don't love brie.
I'm not a big beet family.
Yeah, I don't make them at home. Only when you go.
Don't they make your hands like you have to put gloves when you prepare them, right? Because otherwise they're gonna dye your hands.
Dye your hands. Yeah, for sure. I don't make them at home. Only when if I go out and they're like, oh, we have a special like beet salad. If it's made like, it can be really tasty.
Wow.
We'll come back. We'll continue the NBA conversation. We got an hour left to play with. We're rolling right up until high noon. Moose and Keith with you right here on the Better Sports Network.
Moose and Keith. Weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern.
The word genius is there. Bob Glover, it describes him. Bob, so when's the last time that Twitter defeated you? Because I've been defeated by Twitter today.
I'll tell you how Twitter defeated me one time. I had the mistaken impression that the year that Troy Polamalu won the Defensive Player of the Year, it looked like it was going to go to Clay Matthews Jr. and I tweeted it. And there was a guy on the media bus. He was like, oh, yeah, he's got it, a guy I trust. I won't tell you who it was, but his initials are Mike Garafolo. So I went with it. Got a DM from Rich Eisen, NFL Network. He goes, you sure about that? I go, oh, man. Oh, I just got this wave. Because, like, accuracy to me is really important. So I'm literally on the media bus. We're just getting back from media day. We are slipping and sliding in Dallas. It's snowing. I get off the bus. I open my laptop. I am hunched over. And I just, like, literally people are passing me. Bob, what's wrong? And it was Palomalu. And Adam Schefter had retweeted me. Trey Wingo had retweeted me. I'm like, oh, I'm dead.
So when it's Palomalu, then how do you handle that? Like, what was the subsequent tweet
I think
afterwards?
I said, got some bad Twitter info. I didn't put Garafalo's name on there. I had to
10 years later, you can out him. I like that. Yeah.
You know, he wouldn't mind that. He knows the stories.
Yeah.
He actually said to me, hey, Bob, I think you might have jumped the gun on that. I was like, oh, crap. There we go.
Campus to Canton on the Better Sports Network.
Would Dion bench Shedeur?
I don't think he would.
Like, how bad would it have to be? Because we've seen horrendous quarterback play from this Colorado team for the last, 5 years? JT Shroud, Brandon Lewis, just terrible quarterback play. Like, they were 131st, which is dead last in pass EPA per play. Obviously, it will be better, but how bad does it have to be for him to bench his own son? Like, I'm not sure he will ever either, like, especially with the attitude that he came in with.
If they don't get Rashada, who do they bench him for this year anyway? I don't know that there's another answer on that roster that you go to. They don't really have a guy behind him. So I don't even know if we would know the answer to that until the next year, assuming that, he doesn't declare for the draft, he returns, they bring somebody else that's competent and behind him.
If they're going to do this the Lincoln Riley way, next year would be the class to bring somebody in. Shedeur Sanders is going to be a third-year player. So he's going to play 2023. I don't think he's declaring for the 2024 NFL draft. So he's going to play in 2024 and then declare for the 2025 NFL draft. And let's remember this. He hasn't had a full recruiting cycle at Colorado. He will have that next recruiting cycle. So maybe he could get one of these class of 2024 quarterbacks there to come to Colorado.
However you're invested in sports, from betting to fantasy, collectibles, and more, join our community on Better Sports Network.
Can you do something for me? 21. Can you hit a little rich flex for me? 21. Then 21. Can you do something for me? 21. Drop some bars to my
I want to remind everybody, Fantasy Farm has all the fantasy football and betting content you need to prepare for the NFL draft and the upcoming season, featuring rookie scouting reports, NFL team needs, player projections, mock drafts, and more. For a limited time, get the complete NFL package plus DFS playbooks for all sports at an additional 20% off the already discounted annual price with promo code NFL Draft at where? At fantasyalarm.com.
I mean, who doesn't like discounts?
No doubt, 100%. Absolutely.
You know, it just came across my Twitter timeline. So Kevin Durant was at the Diamondbacks game last night, front row, rocking a Corbin Carroll jersey, a jersey actually, not jersey. And then, or it looks like a jersey, maybe it's a jersey. And Corbin Carroll retweeted it with the eyes emoji and the goat. That's pretty cool.
Beautiful. There
That's
you go.
cool. Kevin Durant getting immersed in the the Arizona fan base and stuff. Cool. Pretty cool.
That is neat. Good for him. Good for KD. Well, he got immersed in, the Liberty, and he went to, I think, some Met games as well. He did a number of different things where he was in Brooklyn, no doubt.
You say the say what you want about guy thing, like with people. Yes, I think that Kevin Durant at times is a little sensitive when it comes to like social media and he reacts to that kind of stuff. I think he seems like a good dude though. Like I think he seems like he would, if it wasn't that basketball was his passion and then he became great at it, like I think he wants to be like a man of the people. Like I think he would like to be able to just be a dude, be a guy. It's just very difficult to, because I mean, he's probably one of the 25 greatest players that's ever played the sport. And during this generation, he's one of the 2 or 3 best players of this generation. But I think he would be the kind of guy that would want to let his guard down if he could, and would be a cool dude to hang out with.
Yeah, I think he's just, I think he can be a little ornery, a little cranky. I mean, what does Barkley call him?
The bus rider, not a bus driver?
No. Doesn't he call him like Mr. He's never happy? What is he? Barkley on I forget.
I'm not sure. But I mean, I think that also comes with, like the price of fame sometimes. I think there is something to the,
Oh, Mr. Miserable.
Mr. Miserable? I don't know if I see it. Like, I think, who's the last superstar that's giddy all the time?
I mean, Otani's really happy. I mean, I don't know. There's guys.
No, I was thinking more basketball, not other sports.
Oh, more.
I mean, NBA. I guess Giannis is happy most of the time.
Giannis is happy all the time. When is Giannis not happy?
Yeah.
Giannis is happy. I mean, Embiid for the most part is happy.
No, he's cranky when things aren't going his way.
He's not as miserable as Durant. Like, I gotta give Barkley's credit great with some of the nicknames. Durant, Mr. Miserable, Mr. Street Clothes. When you look at Anthony Davis, like, it is just great.
Pretty good.
I don't know. Sometimes perception and reality are two different things. I don't know. I think he's really sensitive when it comes to criticism that comes along his way. I do think that, and I think what Barkley had to say in that 60 Minutes piece, that the NBA player now more sensitive now than ever before. And I think it's probably the time they grow up in with social media, Instagram, TikTok, and obviously Twitter, Facebook, everything that the connection, the ability for fans all across the country, in the continental 48 and throw in the other, obviously Hawaii and Alaska, and the ability to go out and tell your feelings to players and be able to send it, whether or not they see it, but be able to do that. That's good and bad. I mean, there's positives and there's negatives to that. And I think then you develop a way where it's hard to turn away from that stuff, to turn social media off, to have the understanding as a young person that it's not the end all be all when you feel that it is when you look at social media, because it really isn't in the end. I mean, you go around and ask, executives, whether it be TV executives or radio executives, about, the amount of audience that is on social media, and they'll say it's roughly around 5 to 6%. That's it. I mean, it's not 45, it's not 50, it's not 60, it's not 70, it's 5 to 6%.
In what sense? Explain.
In terms of when you look at radio, if you look at radio for an instance, and people are constantly reacting to what's on social media, give or take the numbers around 5 to 7% of your listening audience is actually on Twitter. That's it.
That's true, huh?
Yeah, basically that's true. It's not an overwhelming percentage.
I just wish, like, with Twitter and social media, like, because I think that it can be a really good thing, especially for the, like, fans out there that want to be able to potentially get a quote tweet or a like from, insert star. Like, let's say you're a big LeBron James fan, right? And you tweeted him like, "Hey, GOAT, you're fantastic. Thanks for inspiring my children." I don't know, something like that, right? Like, I think that's cool that you'd be able to maybe get a retweet or a like or a response, okay? But on the same side, the same token, I think the bad part about social media is when someone, would tweet it. Let's make it Kevin Durant, right? "Hey, Kevin Durant, you're soft like baby food." Like, would you really say that to him if he was standing there in front of you? No. Like, the whole Twitter muscle things, the social media muscle thing, like the like Instagram or internet gangsters and stuff like that. Like, that stuff bothers me to no end, because if I'm not going to say it to your face, I'll say, I've actually lived by this too, even doing what we do for a living. Okay. So, and Moose, you coming through like the New York radio stations, you know what it is for people just like going off the rails and like being belligerent on calling out players, right? Like, you've heard it. There are people that be like, "Oh, this guy is straight up trash." I would like it's a thing. I mean, it's a thing. I'm not saying that you do it, Moose, but it's a thing. I've made it my point. If I wouldn't say what I'm going to say about a player, to that player or to their organization, like, I'm not going to say it on the air. I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, I've had. I mean, you have to have really thick skin. Like when when I was doing overnights on WFAN, and I had somebody that would religiously email me from fake email accounts on a day in, day out basis, asking me when I'm going to kill myself.
Jesus.
So, like, you have to, yes, like, and
That's
that happened for the
that's
better.
excessive.
That had it happen for the better part of 2 years because he didn't like my particular take on something. Like, I've had people where they're like, when I was critical of Jameis Winston, threatened violence against my wife. Like, I've had, like, so you get, like, there's good and bad when you have, and obviously nothing ever happened, and it's all nonsense and it's all BS.
Well, it's because no one called you the B word, so you didn't really
Right,
overreact.
but
Yeah.
I mean, the point being is that, like, you have to have really kind of thick skin, and you have to have an understanding of sometimes you're, it is what it is, and you pay it no mind, and it's difficult to do, and it was a lot easier for me to do when I was, at that stage of my career, when I started, working on overnights after going and working with Mike and Chris for 7 years. And I'll tell you, it'd be difficult to do if I was 21 or 22 as compared to when I was 30. And I think it's difficult when you look at social media now and the impact that it does have on our kids, and the way that they're going to use it more and more, and how many likes you have, this and that, because it's all nonsense. I mean, not all of it. I mean, I'm not telling you that it's all bad. It's not, but you have to have an understanding. It's never going to be a case where it's going to completely, and should never, define you as an individual. So you deal with a lot of different things, and over the course of your career. So I get where people, and like Durant reacts to certain, and we got into the conversation talking about Durant and Barkley calling him Mr. Miserable, and the fact that he's out there and going to an Arizona Diamondbacks game and taking it in. Like, I've never, the one thing I would say about Durant, and that the differentiation between like, he's an amazing basketball player and his passion is basketball. It's not anything else. I mean, that is his number one passion in his life, that defines him, that drives him. He does other things, has other businesses, but he has a deep, healthy amount of respect for the sport that he plays, and he wants to continue to evolve and work on his game, as compared to, say, a guy like we've talked a lot about with Kyrie Irving, where I don't think, as talented as he is, I don't think that's his number one passion in his life. I think that provides a platform, but it's not the thing that drives him day in and day out. It drives LeBron. It drove Michael. It drove Kobe. It drove Bird. It drove Magic Johnson. It drove you're looking at the greats of the greats when you're looking at the sport of the NBA. Basketball there were other things, but basketball was always at the top of that pyramid. Then it kind of branched out from there, because that was their number one passion in life. And I think to be great at anything, that needs to be your passion. That needs to be your number one thing. You can do other things. You don't have to necessarily be centrally focused, but whatever sport it might be, or maybe it's, I don't know, pick anything else, investments, or, doing what we do, whatever it might be. It's gotta be your number one passion.
Yeah. And I think it's difficult to be great at many things, right? Like, typically it's hard enough to be great at one thing, let alone many things. Like, Kyrie Irving is an excellent basketball player. Not an all-time great. Does he have the all-time great talent? Potentially. Yeah. He could have been in that breath. But then again, if I'm going to, take his side for a second here, I think that he has other passions, and social justice, and whether some of the choices he makes are a little bit odd to me. But, like, I don't know if that's odd to him. I don't know if that's odd to the, his circle of people that he trusts. So yeah, but I do think it's very difficult to be great at more than one thing. I mean, luckily, I've just become great at everything. Yeah. I mean, thank you. I mean, I knew you were going to say it. I didn't want to have to,
Right. There's nothing you're not great at.
Can I tell you, all right, hold on. I'm going to peel back the curtain for a second. I'm going to tell you something. So yesterday, after this show, had to drive Alex up to his basketball training session up at Lehigh. Okay. They have a whole Ninja Warrior outdoor rig set, everything, the like warped wall, everything, right? So after his session, we realized, usually we're here at night and everything's wet, because it's been the winter and you can't really go on anything. It'd be dangerous, right? So the boys are messing around and they're doing some of the things and they're doing pretty good at it. And I just go over and I'm like, choo, 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 and I'm doing like I did everything, right? And I fell in love with Jody again. All right. I'm going to toot my own horn here because she did. She looks at me and she goes, you really are just like, you could do anything you want to do, huh?
Yeah, I'm like,
I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, you're 43 years old. You just jumped on that thing and looked like you were like an elite athlete because I was just doing everything. I'm like, thank you. And like, I almost got uncomfortable for a second. Not normally, but I'm like, yeah, just for a second. Well, then I'm like, all right, I got to tell Moose about it. I'm like, oh yes, all right, I got to wait for an opening in the show just to subtly sneak it in.
There you go. That's great. That's awesome.
It's fun. I love that Ninja Warrior stuff.
Yeah, you acclimate and thrive. That's I know you love that.
I wish I told you that I won a Ninja Warrior competition, right?
You did.
Oh man, I still wish that I would have been able to figure out how to like time-wise been actually able to go on the show. Just wasn't just the time it did because they can't guarantee you a spot. They guarantee you a spot in line.
I think you gotta, listen, I think in life you gotta be able to kind of branch out and do things because life is really short. It goes by really fast.
Yeah, it does.
You do.
And now I even feel like as much as, I was messing around in that thing, I'm like 7 years later from when I did that Ninja Warrior thing, I'm still in good shape, but I don't think I'm that guy anymore. Like 36 and 43 are different. It just is. So I don't even know.
They are, right. But you keep yourself, you don't look 43 and you keep yourself in peak physical condition.
Yeah.
By the way, I sent Keith the video of the hill.
It was amazing.
Every day.
Amazing.
I did the box jumps yesterday too.
You did.
We did 3
What
rounds.
did the boys think?
3 rounds. It was challenging, but it was a competition between the 3 of them, but they did a good job.
It's the way to go. Did they enjoy the box jumps? Because I enjoy box jumps.
Yeah, I think they enjoyed it. They didn't complain.
Okay.
They didn't complain. And I said, we're going to try and do this as much as we possibly can. Yeah. And we did a nice walk. We did a 2-mile walk.
Nice.
Then we did a couple of intermittent sprints during the walk. And then we did the hill.
Love it. Jackson was booking in the video you sent me. He looked tired when he got to the top though.
Dude, it's not just like one incline or like, it is a long run. Like it's a long run.
Yeah.
He did it in 28 seconds.
So that was better, right? Didn't he do 30 the first time?
30. Yeah. Everyone improved by a second.
You and Donna too?
Yeah. We all improved by a second.
Love it.
So Jackson wants to see if he can get up that hill in like 21, 22 by the end of the summer.
Did you figure out how long it is or no?
I have not figured out how long. No, I'm not sure.
Take the car. Just drive the car and then you do the odometer.
You're right about that. That's true.
Yeah, just do the odometer on the car.
Yeah,
or there's all these apps too. There's what's the tracking one? I have a running one. It's called Run Trainer.
Nice.
So you do Run Trainer and don't even run it. Literally just press the start button, start at the bottom, walk up the hill. It'll tell you how far you walked.
So they had hockey. Jackson had hockey yesterday. He's got hockey tomorrow. And they all 3 have hockey tomorrow afternoon. When I'm at work. I'm back to picks tonight. Back to
there
picks.
You go.
After a little bit of a break. Now I'm working at picks for a while. So
okay. You don't do Fridays there, do you?
This Friday I am because the other guy's on vacation. Okay. This Friday and Saturday, but normally I do not. But I'll be there this Friday and Saturday.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. Nice. Lucy Birch is going to join us bottom of the hour.
Lucy was just on with BetQL this morning with Chelsea, and she did a bunch about the Bruins today. She's all in on the Bruins.
Well, how could you not?
Lucy loves her Boston squads.
Yeah, I understand. How could you not? The Celtics, the Bruins.
Red Sox are going to win the World Series according to Lucy.
Well, they're 5-5. They've got a ways to go.
They're not going to win the World Series. Can we
No,
open with that? I wonder if that would be her trigger words. If we start off by telling her Red Sox suck.
Yeah, probably.
Can I try it?
Yeah, you should try it.
Or
talk about Brady. What's the latest with Brady?
Yeah. Just what if I say Tom Brady is no Peyton Manning?
Yes. I think she'd be more bothered by the.
Ooh. Let's jot these down. Let's come up with the things that we think sports wise that could get Lucy to be angry. So Red Sox suck. Brady is no Peyton. What else? What else could we do? Celtics. Let's do something Celtics. Celtics are just a poor man's Lakers. Right?
Yeah.
Poor man's Lakers. Anybody else in the chat? If you guys have anything bad you want to say about the Boston Red Sox, about the Boston area, now
Paul Revere is
now's
overrated.
The time. Paul Revere is definitely overrated. I like that. Paul Revere is overrated.
Everyone knew the British were coming.
All right, that one's yours. All right, we'll leave that one for you. That was a good one by you. Paul Revere is overrated. Okay. So you know what? That's what we'll do. We'll do. Hopefully she's not listening right now. We're gonna do our top 5 ways to make Lucy angry.
Yes.
Okay. So we have 4 right now. We got to come up with one more. We could do that during the break, actually.
By the way, just before we go to a timeout, CBS Sunday's broadcast of the Masters, most watched round on any network in 5 years, averaging over 12 million viewers.
That's shocking to me. I didn't think they'd get the numbers this year. I didn't. Once Tiger was out.
Darren Ravel quote tweeted and said, imagine if the live golfers were not a part of it. And Brooks Koepka was not there. I mean, it added to it. I think the live PGA rivalry added to it. Koepka having the lead, being chased down by Jon Rahm. Obviously, Mickelson having a huge 7-under day on Sunday was huge as well. But there you have it. And that was with Tiger withdrawing from the tournament earlier that morning before, the final round even got going. So Tiger was out, and still over 12 million viewers on Sunday for CBS and the Masters. So
wow,
golf bounces back in a big time way. Lucy Birds is going to join.
Did you see the chat? Wally just added one. I think we make that number 5. Don't read it out loud, but I think we make that number 5.
I agree with that. That's a good one. Yeah. Right. Moose and Keith with you. We'll come back right here. Better Sports Network.
Moose and Keith, weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern on Better Sports Network.
Calvin Ridley yesterday, he applied for reinstatement from the National Football League.
Ridley, Kirk, Zay Jones, Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence. That is crazy potent on offense.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I mean, Ridley's great.
I think Trevor Lawrence is a guy I want in fantasy this year.
I think you're probably right. I think they're just going to get better and better. First off, Peterson's a wonderful offensive mind, a great head coach, and we've seen that and saw that this year as Jacksonville made it to the postseason. And Trevor Lawrence, anybody that questioned whether or not he could play in the National Football League or just how good he was going to be in the NFL, those questions were answered this past season as in the second half of the year. Statistically speaking, he was a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. That's how good Trevor Lawrence is. You throw Calvin Ridley into the mix, he's going to be great. Yeah, I think Lawrence is a guy you want. I think Ridley's a guy you want. Clearly, Travis Etienne is going to be one of those early, first-round selections as well, being the dual-threat running back that he is, not only running, but also catching the ball out of the backfield, Keith, and the ability to take something small and take it to the house. Take a 5-yard dump pass, make a guy miss in the open field, and he's gone. I mean, you saw that with Travis Etienne this past season for Jacksonville. Yeah, sky's the limit. I mean, I think you're going to go from a team in the year span where you wanted no part of the Jacksonville Jaguars when you're looking at fantasy football to where you want as many Jaguars as you possibly can because they're going to be really, really productive. And let's see if they get their tight end back as well, who had
Evan Ingram was great.
And Evan Ingram, who was great this past season.
Yeah. I mean, if they keep that whole core together, their offense is going to be one of the best in football. Like, I legitimately think that they could be one of the best offenses in football.
Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, then
and Ridley,
Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence, a good offensive line, and you've got Doug Peterson being creative calling.
Right.
And you look at that division. The Colts are a mess.
Yep.
Titans
look like they're on the downslide.
Titans are on a downslide, right? That window is clearly closed. And then you got the Houston Texans.
Years away from relevancy.
Yeah.
I mean, Jacksonville could win 11 games next year.
Moose and Keith. Weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern on Better Sports Network.
It's Moose and Keith. And our next guest will be very excited about the music.
I played this song for Jackson yesterday for the first time when we were driving to hockey. He loves it, man.
What did he think?
Loves it.
I mean,
unfortunately, it was not the clean version.
Did you suddenly were like, no.
As he gets in the car, he likes to play DJ. So I connect my phone, and then he plays DJ, and he'll play a little Rocky music. He'll play some Eminem. He'll play some AC/DC before we head over to the hockey rink. And he played this. He's like, "What do you want to hear?" I go, "How about Till I Collapse" from Eminem? And then all of a sudden, it was the non-clean version. I was like, Lucy, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. That's a great way to begin and to spend this morning is to hear that song. Thank you so much for that. Till I Collapse is an absolute classic.
What would be your all right, so you're a baseball player, you have to pick out your walk-up music. What are your song choices?
Till I Collapse is actually a great one to walk up to, but it's a little bit like it's obvious. It would definitely be something from Eminem, but it would probably be from the 8 Mile soundtrack, Rabbit Run, or his song 8 Mile from
You're not picking Kim? That's crazy. I don't get it.
Right, of course. That song was just the chorus of Kim, I think. Or just the end, just like the final 20 seconds of Kim would be good, I think.
Can you imagine? Oh my God.
I think I would be a canceled baseball player.
Yeah, you'd be like, all right, well, Lucy's no longer playing in the majors. Okay,
yeah, well,
goodbye.
Like the headline would be like, MLB career ended by song choice for walk-up music.
Till I Collapse would be a great one.
A great one. I mean, that one's fantastic.
I know what mine is. Mine is Nas, Hate Me Now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another good one.
That's
Or I always thought the best walk-up song would be the Mary Tyler Moore theme song. Because it's so inspirational, and it's just gonna be like, well, for me, it would be great because it's like, who can turn the world on with her smile? You're gonna make it after all. Who can take a nothing day and suddenly make it all seem worthwhile? Yeah. And then I walk up as she's saying it, it's you, girl, and you should know it. And then you're like, yeah, of course I'm gonna hit a grand slam.
So Lucy, if you ever want a walk-up song done for you, so do you know who Colin Cosell is? You may or may not.
I think I've seen that name before.
All right, so he's Howard Cosell's grandson, friend of mine. He's the PA announcer for the New York Mets.
Okay.
During the pandemic, he was bored, so he put it on social media, but he had texted me. He's like, hey, so I want to do some of these things, and I'll tell you what it is in a second. I want to do some of these things, and I just want to do it for some of my friends and like their family members. Can I try it with you first? And if it like kind of works well, I'm going to do more of them. So he would ask you for your name, like if you want to give your height, your position, whatever it was. And then he would do your walk up and include music to it. And like he would post it to social media. I still think he's doing it a little bit. He just had a baby, so he's a little bit busy. But if you want one, I can get you one done.
That would be sweet to have a walk-up song. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the nice stuff that we're gonna do. We're gonna end this interview with some really mean stuff for you.
Okay. Oh, I can't wait. That's
so you know.
I live for that type of stuff. So that would be fantastic. Yes.
What's your we were talking about social media before, Lucy. Like, what's your take on like the proper perspective from your vantage point on social media?
So in general, I would say don't read the comments. That would be but you can't avoid it. You can't avoid reading the comments. But if you do read them, my general thought is don't respond, because that's kind of like it. Don't respond to the haters, because that's what they want is just attention. But somebody I saw yesterday tweeted something, and I was like, oh, well, this is somebody who has a decent following, who is in sports betting. I'm like, that's a very weird thing to tweet. Just to said I should get lip injections and that I'm not as cute as I. This is also
to you.
Yes. And so I was like, oh, that's really weird. So I screenshotted it just to have, and then he deleted it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to tweet this out. Be like, wow, look at this person. Just to teach him a lot. It didn't really bother me. I was just like, this is
it on? Weird. It's on Twitter right now.
Yeah. Well, I tweeted the screenshot. Tweeted it to him. And people were like, well, like I'm not, I don't know, like why I did it just because like to teach him a lesson. It's like you can't. In your position, sir, you should not be tweeting things like this. And so I didn't really know anything about him. But yeah, I tweeted it and I was like, yeah, it doesn't really bother me. And then you just move on with your day. Like literally just go back to work and move on with your day. But to tweet, like he said, like stop doing the fit checks because you're not as cute as you think you are, and get lip injections and something else. Because he thought, first of all, he thought that I spoiled the plot of Succession, or the episode of Succession from this week.
Whoa.
In the video. That was the part I really, yes. Well, that was the part I really wanted to get at, like why I didn't spoil anything. Like name one spoiler in my video that I just said I couldn't really sleep that night, had some nightmares after that episode.
Because you know what, this person, whoever, man or woman, don't know. I don't know who this person is.
Right.
Yeah, they have a decent following, but don't have the blue check, so it could just be a little bit of a hack, possibly. That was really uncalled for. What they wrote.
It was just kind of, and it wasn't even that good of a burn. I'm like, okay, you could talk about literally anything else, but okay.
You're not as cute as you think you are.
Really got me there, sir. Really stopped me in my tracks. Just my day was just completely derailed. No, but it's like it just caught me a little like, why would you tweet this and then delete it and then double down on it? Which I guess I don't know.
Well, I was saying to Moose, and this is where this was born, because we were talking a little about Durant and stuff like that. Like, I'm a firm believer in coming through the radio world where, like, when I was doing sports talk radio, I don't say things about athletes or coaches or organizations that I wouldn't say if that person wasn't in front of me.
Right.
Like, if I wouldn't say insert name of player is absolute trash to their face, then I'm not going to say it on the air. If I wouldn't say, like, you know, you're as soft as baby food to your face, I'm not going to say it on the air.
Right.
Although it would be clever sometimes, but no.
It would be. Right. And I think that's a good way to go about it. Although there are some people that would then say that to the athlete in an interview, and then you kind of lose that connection. And as a source of any stories or anything, it's like you gotta watch your who you say what to. So I think that's a really good way to go about it. But when it comes to social media in general, I always think no one who is going to say anything, people who put you down are already below you. Is kind of how I look at it. And if they I know who they are, but they know who I am, but I don't know who they are. Yeah. So that says who wins just in general. Is like,
people are going to put you down. I want to be around people that lift me up.
That's true.
Correct. Because it's not, there's a difference between criticism and bullying, and taking criticism is very important in this business, but bullying there's no place anywhere for that.
No.
Yeah, man, your picks suck.
Okay, well then what can I be doing better, sir? Like, you don't even know. So because you're Greg 1 2 3 4 or whatever your name is, like it's
What is Boston going to be title town in the spring?
Yes, and I would say the Bruins are most likely to win anything because the Celtics are not as rock solid as the historically great Bruins are. So I would say that. And then of course, like the Red Sox. I mean, the loss to the Rays just by one run, that's more of a
they basically won the World Series because of that.
Yeah, I was shocked, not shocked. I knew they could hold them to one run, but I thought it was going to be more of I was afraid it was going to be more of a like 11-0, like the A's games, or like 12-2 or something like that. 1-0. I mean, the Red Sox are better than people expected, I think, except for Devers striking out with the bases loaded, which was a disappointment.
Did you do any math yet? So they're 5-5, right?
Yes, they're 5-5, 500.
So like, if we project forward, that means they're 81-81, right? That's what they're on pace for. What was the over under for them again? I forget.
80 games. Oh, I had them at 80 games. It was
you had them at 80, so then you hit the over.
78. They could hit. They're on pace to hit the over.
Yeah. Okay.
Would be just delightful, I think, because then my bet would win. But also, most people are like, oh, they're going to win 60 games. No, they're going to win more than that. They're already on.
They were never going to be a 60-win team. Like I pegged them for.
Who thought so?
I think they're going to be a little below 500. I see them more as like a 78, 79 win team. But when you say that means they could be 83. You know what I mean? Like I think they're right there.
Yeah,
are you worried about the Bruins, the last team that won the President's Trophy? To win the Stanley Cup, you have to go back 2011, 2012 Blackhawks.
Yeah.
Does that concern you?
Not this Bruins team. This Bruins team is different. So I think everything is just thrown out the window with how well these Bruins have played. But then there are the people that are like, well, they could just lose in the playoffs like they've done before. And yeah, that's a possibility, but I don't see how this team being so dominant and being just the team that they have been this season will lose, because they're one track. They are on one track and they're not stopping. And there's nobody on this team who's a weak link. So, and I think with the Celtics have a little bit of frazzledness going on. So the Jaylen Brown broken or stitches situation, I don't buy that for a second. I think that he says that he broke it on watering his plants. I not broke it. I got cut and need stitches. I don't think that's true. I mean, that's of course possible, but it was so bandaged that I don't know why you'd need that much bandage for that kind of injury. And also, he's not particularly thrilled in Boston and has said so to the New York
Didn't Tom
Times.
Brady cut his hand once?
He did, and I remember that Belichick. They were asked Belichick about it, and Belichick was like, "I'm not a doctor or scientist or whatever. It's I don't know, healing time, whatever, typical whatever he would say." But yeah, he did, and he played with it.
Yeah.
But Jaylen Brown, the timing is just too weird, and I don't know how that injury. He gave too many details that it's like, okay, maybe he's like making this up, or he punched something, or the injury doesn't exist. So I don't know. It just seems very, very fishy to me. And that seems a little bit of they're not gelling. I don't know if he and Jason Tatum are actually getting along. I mean, who knows? It's too much distraction. And it's just a weird situation. The Bruins have none of that. The Bruins are just streamlined and ready to go.
Is there a hockey team that scares you that could take down the Bruins?
No.
Wow.
No.
Okay.
Because I know so much about hockey. No, but I think the Bruins are they're flying forward.
Fair enough. All right.
I know the Bruins are good.
What baseball bets have you been having success with this year? Is there anything different? I mean, last year, a lot of, I mean, you and I have been following each other for the last couple of years. Last year, a lot of hit props, a lot of total base props.
Yes. And I am doing the same thing this year. Total base props have been crushing it. Just looking at the success against pitchers that the batters are facing. I mean, RIP Adam Duvall as the total bases king, because that was a disappointment, because he was on fire and he betting his total bases. It was only at 0.5, not even 1.5. So it was hitting the over every night basically. And so now total bases, also strikeout props, like Pavetta yesterday, I had him over 5.5. He had 6, but I also had Jalen Beeks, the opposing pitcher, over 1.5. And I'm like, against the Red Sox, yeah, you're probably going to hit the over. He hit the over on that. So that one also hit. So I also, by the way, was 4-0 on bets. I swept last night. So that was, thank you very much. That was 2 strikeout props and total Anthony Rizzo to get a hit, just a hit prop, and then total bases.
So I love to dive into the bettor's minds, right? And, everyone has a different way of handling this, and whether or not you're actually placing your money on it or not, you're giving out the advice for people. But a lot of your plays, so you do a lot of the half hits, the half total bases. Sometimes they're minus 160. Sometimes they're minus 175. Yeah. Some people say, I won't touch those. And some people think that they're good bets. Explain your mentality and why you like those.
So I like those because there's the chance of them hitting, but also you can parlay all of them if you'd like. These are just suggestions, things that I see that you can also look at that and then look at bets, the other bets surrounding it. Look at the pitcher, the alternate lines and things like that. Like, this is just suggestions of, and also maybe they'll be like, oh, maybe I'll bet on this and also watch the game if I wasn't going to watch the game in the first place. We're like, oh, I didn't even know the Mets were playing today, but Pete Alonso could have over 1.5 total bases, things like that. But yes, there some of those odds are a little bit longer, but I never go longer than minus 200, which even minus 200, I'm like, that's a little bit too. And even minus 170, usually I don't go longer than that.
What do you, when you look at it in terms of what you're taking outside of Boston, what are you taking from baseball early on here that you're going to be kind of leaning into maybe for the next couple of weeks from a betting perspective, Lucy?
Yeah, a lot of Mets hitters bets because that's my National League team. So I look at the Mets a lot. I'm hoping to come to Citi Field at some point this season. My mom's very into it. I was talking to her on Easter about it. She was like, "Oh, we have to go." We got her a record player for Easter, and she finally
Wait,
got
you're gonna come to New York and choose to go to Citi Field, not go to Yankee Stadium.
Yes, correct.
Okay,
that
cool.
is correct.
Yep.
Yes. No, I was at Citi Field in 2019, and it was a lovely day. It was late August. It was the 69 Mets anniversary.
Gotcha.
So yes, so we saw.
I
them.
interrupted you. You were about to say something about a record player.
She has a 69 Mets record that of all the songs that they sang, and so she was playing it on Easter, and she was crying. She was so happy. She was like, "I haven't listened to this in decades," and I was like, "Great, awesome, fantastic Easter." So we have to go to Citi Field and try the milkshake with the donut on top. That's the goal, is to get one of those. But yeah, so I'm betting on a lot of Mets, but also Shohei Ohtani.
But Lucy, are you really going to eat that? Like, you eat clean like every day, do you not?
I got kind of, yes, I pretty much
he
do.
talked about, it's basically like 5 days a year. One of them is Super Bowl Sunday, where he allows himself to have a couple Diet Cokes and some Doritos.
Ooh, I do love me some Diet Coke and Doritos.
Yeah, outside of that, like every day.
Diet Coke isn't even like a cheat.
Oh, I love me some Diet Coke and
I know,
Doritos.
but every day, like, are you really going to go out to Citi Field and like gorge yourself and like having the shake with the donut? Are you gonna?
I might. I mean, when I go to a sporting event, like if I go to a baseball game, it's chicken tenders, fries, and like wine or something like that. That's like heaven. Last season, that would be my last.
You
meal.
go white or red wine?
Oh, white. I am allergic to red wine. And white wine, I could drink all day long. Not really, but like, yeah. But
I don't think you can drink that all day long.
No, but that's my one drink is pretty much just white wine. And so I with Fenway last year, every time chicken tenders, fries, and wine. And then also there was one time where I also had a hot dog, and my friend and I were like, "Oh, let's get hot dogs too." And yeah. At a sporting event, anything goes. It's like the airport.
I mean, Moose, airport, interesting. Moose, I actually agree with Lucy on this one. I think if you're at a sporting event, like all diets go out the window.
Totally.
If you're
is in that same boat, like, oh, maybe don't get that. No, get the donut with the milkshake.
Yeah, like
the the chicken with the donuts as the bread.
Like Moose. I mean, I eat clean, but like, you know how much pasta I'm gonna eat in Italy this summer? Like, I'm going all in.
I understand, but then you'll be doing like cardiovascular workouts in between meals.
Probably, yes. Well, so you have no idea how my training is going to be like in the month of July.
Oh, like you're going to be off the charts to build up your body in order. No, I get it. I wonder, like, there's a different, like, I'd love to try the Judge Burger at Yankee Stadium, which is $20. Like, that looks amazing.
So let's go, Moose. We'll do it. I'll do it with you.
Yeah. The Alonzo Burger at Citi
We'll
Field.
get the buckets of chicken.
Yes.
I would get one of those.
So, all right. So, Lucy, when you come to Citi Field, if we can figure it out, we'll try to get, because I know like Ariel Epstein also. Yeah. Like, if we can try to figure out, like, if it's a night that all of us could try to figure it out, we'll all try to go.
That would be amazing.
Get like a whole group of us.
So much fun. That would be really fun.
Moose is in.
Yes.
If we could figure it out.
Got to.
Yeah, I would be in. I would definitely be in. That would be awesome.
That would be really, really fun. And we'll all get the milkshakes with donuts.
So
I'm in. I'll do it.
Before we get into, we got a little game for you, Lucy. Before we get into that, you don't think the Celtics can take down the Bucks in a 7-game series?
I think they could, but I have less confidence when it's Celtics or Bruins. Which one's going to win? I'd say the Bruins. But yeah, no, I think the Celtics can do that. I have faith in them to do that. And I think that the Bucks would be like last year, the Bucks were the scary team. And you think, okay, the Celtics aren't going to get past the Bucks. And then they did. So I think they can again this year. I mean, they were favored to win the finals for so long this season. So I think that this Celtics team has what it takes to get past the Bucks. Yes.
All right, Lucy, I don't think I've ever asked you this question. I love Boston. Boston's a great town, right?
Yes.
But when I ask you, if I'm, what is it? Mike's Pastries is great, right? And Mike's Pastries is fantastic. They have so many different variations and flavors of the cannolis. Unbelievable. It's just great. But if I'm coming to Boston and there's one restaurant that you need to go to, what would that restaurant be?
I would say if you're going at the higher end side, Grill 23 is where to go. I love Grill 23. That is, but if you're going the more like barish side, Dylan's on Boylston is my favorite place in all of Boston. It's just classic, and it's right near where I live, so it's not a far trip. And so I just love going there because it's really close, and it's just like I've never had a bad experience there. Burgers are great. The fries are phenomenal. Their white wine pour is off the charts. It's just a nice quantity.
We're learning something about you today, Lucy.
Yes. All about the white wine. Well, sincere.
All the signs are out there like, why not? And like, oh, it's wine o'clock. So no, I don't have anything like that. No, but that Dylan's or a Grill 23.
Nice. Beautiful.
Nice.
Love it.
All right, are we
Yeah, let's do it.
Moose, you ready? All right, so we're gonna play a little music, and then I'll tell you what the name of the game is. I just want you to know it was birthed because of this. Did you hear Draymond spoke about Rudy Gobert and says that a lot of people think he's soft, and then said that a man never calls a man the B word, because if you do, that's a trigger word. Okay.
Okay.
All right, just that's the background. All right, Ernie, play the music. All right, let's look if we can keep it underneath us. The name of the game is called Make Lucy Snap. All right. We're going to do our best. So we actually took stuff from our chat as well. All right. We're going to say something to you, and you have to give us like a scale of how angry this would make you. All right. I'll go first. Your Red Sox suck.
Okay, this is out of 10, 10 out of 10. And you know what? Somebody at church on Easter said this to me. And I was like, how can you possibly say that when they've only lost 5 of their 10 games so far. They are 5-5. They're not 0-10. How does this team suck when they're winning games? I know the Pirates swept them, but that is so early in the season. They don't suck. They're a good team. They lost just 1-0 to the Rays. Like that is not an absolute blowout. They held them to 1 run. That's not a bad team, and that's not a team that sucks. That's a good team. Their pitching is it's okay.
Look how triggered she got.
You are. So it is
not bad. Tanner Hougen, not bad. This is not a team that sucks, and this is a hill I will die on even, and it's a 10 out of 10.
All right, Brady is no Peyton Manning.
Also, okay, that's 9 out of 10 if it's compared to the Red Sox one, but Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. So there's no Peyton Manning. I don't hear as many. Nobody's saying he's the GOAT. Tom Brady's the GOAT. That's just a fact.
Okay. You know, Lucy, the Celtics, just a poor man's Lakers. They're no Lakers.
I would say that would maybe be a 6. No, 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. Because this year Celtics are
just in general. No, like, historically, like if if I'm going to talk about the history of the NBA, Celtics, sure, whatever. But it's the Lakers are the reason why the NBA is popular.
Okay, 8 out of 10. And just to keep it classy, it's just like, that's, you can think what you want. The Celtics are the rich man's NBA team. Just if you're like a classy person, it's Celtics over Lakers.
All right, Lucy, Paul Revere is overrated.
That doesn't make me that angry, quite honestly. It's probably, I don't know much. I know about Paul Revere, but, I don't know what his daily life was like. I don't really have any, I don't have I'm not in love with Paul Revere. I don't take it personally if you say he sucks.
Okay.
But maybe, I would say that's maybe a 2 out of 10.
2 out of 10.
We have a list of a few. I'm going to go to this one. How about, this was from our chat. David Ortiz does not belong in the Hall of Fame.
Oh my God. On what grounds does he not belong?
He's a cheater.
Every ground. Every ground.
No. He changed the face of baseball in many ways. David Ortiz is the greatest Red Sox player of all time. There's a street named after him. There's a bridge named after him. They should name the airport in Boston after him, quite frankly, and maybe name the Hall of Fame after him and put him on the $20 bill is what they should do.
The Big Poppy bill?
The Big Poppy bill.
All right, I got another one for you. Sam Adams tastes like swill.
Yeah, that one doesn't make me angry because I don't really like beer. So it's sure it probably does.
All right, so change it to white wine, Moose.
Oh, I will drink white wine till I die. White wine is a great beverage, and I enjoy it.
Lucy, you know what? You wish Derek Jeter was a Boston Red Sox.
No, Derek Jeter. Okay, no. So in 7th grade, I did do a book report on his autobiography, and to give him some credit, fine. But in that book, he said some things that are very, I think, fraudulent. Like he said he didn't know like what certain drugs were, and he tried to come off all innocent. And it was just it was for kids, I think. But it was like, Derek Jeter, you don't have to be so innocent all the time. No, I do not wish Derek Jeter would ever be on the Red Sox. No, never. You're supposed to baseball players who are rivals should hate each other and not just be like talking to each other on the field and be like, oh, it's all buddy. But no, hate him. You hate him forever just on the basis of he was a Yankee. That's it.
I think in the end, I think it was the Red Sox thing.
Yeah. I got one more to sneak in. New York pizza is better than clam chowder.
No, because it's New Haven pizza, because I was born in New Haven. So I have to defend that and say that it goes New Haven pizza, clam chowder, then New York pizza. That's how that would go. Because that's not New York pizza isn't even the best pizza.
New Haven pizza is
New Haven pizza
is unbelievable. New Haven pizza is great.
Yes.
And that does it for the generationally great game. Make Lucy snap.
That's my favorite game we have played so far.
I love that. There you go.
Love it.
Lucy, we have about 90 seconds left. Is Brady officially done here? It's over, right?
I think at this point you have to say it's over. He's denying rumors of who he's dating. Gisele's doing Vanity Fair spreads. He has to move on with the rest of his life.
Is it a little odd when he's on the beach shirtless with Julian Edelman and they're throwing the football? Like, it's weird.
Yeah, seeing that too, it's like, okay, he's in the retired players club now. He is set to be retired. He can do photo shoots like that. I do believe Robert Kraft was on the beach with them in one of those photos. It was a very interesting little note there.
Really?
I think his back was turned to the camera, and it looks like Robert Kraft was standing there on the beach.
Who was the backup QB that the picture was not very flattering of that he was with?
I don't know.
Like Blaine Gabbert or something like that?
It might have been. It might have been.
Yeah, there was a backup QB there that like he's probably fit, but it just was a bad angle. Like I remember seeing,
But that's the case where Brady then picked the pictures based on how he looked and not how everybody else looked.
Yeah. Brady's abs looked good, and he's like, oh well, he just doesn't look great. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly. So he didn't even notice that probably.
Yeah, probably
did him dirty.
Yeah,
Lucy, you're awesome. We appreciate it. Thank you for the time here on this Tuesday. Thanks for playing the game with us, and have yourself a great rest of your Tuesday. All right?
Oh, pleasure as always. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you
later. That was fun. Make Lucy snap. I think it worked.
That was awesome. Great idea. You made it work.
We could probably do that with other people too. Like make Dave snap.
Turn that into a thing. No doubt.
Tomorrow.
Good rest of your day, everybody. See you tomorrow at 10 right here. We out.